Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Hopefully by now you've had a chance to look at the introductions to this little series called Finding Your Style and know what this is all about. If you're not too sure, maybe you could just go back and have a look and watch that quick video. It's a very short video explaining what this is about. Okay, so this type of flower that I'm doing isn't really florally, but it's something that just about anybody can do because we all know how to draw circles and we all know how to draw lines. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm just taking my different colors and I'll do some beautiful little circles, and from there I'll use my pen and just add some little lines and some little dots in strategic places, and you'll see how it kind of becomes an abstract flower. It's not something you'd really find in nature, but who says that a flower has to represent something that you'd specifically find in nature? So the point of doing this one is that it's somewhere to start. You can basically just do your flowers of any size, of any colors. Go for how many you'd like. If you want more, do more. If you want less, do less. Obviously you can experiment in the different sizes of those circles, the different placement of those circles within your page. You don't have to do them like I'm doing, which is to basically have a base of the flower and stems. You can do something completely without stems if you like. So just practice and play around and find what you love. Obviously once it's all dry, because you can't really draw with ink on wet watercolor page, then you can pick up your pen and go for your life. So the other thing that's important here is you don't have to have all of them looking the same. So the ones that I'm busy doing at the moment, I'm turning my little ones into kind of like a little bit of a bud. So they look a little bit different to the rest, but still kind of linked. The other thing is that like you'll see that I'm doing circles and you'll see some lines shortly, but you don't have to do that. You can take your pen and you can just make circles within it, or go around each one kind of haphazardly. You'll see in the next one how I'll go around, and it doesn't, you don't want it to be perfect. You want it to just to blend into the whole picture, and you want to just find what you like. Remember, this is about finding your style. So when I'm doing these, I'm just kind of, you'll see that I pick up the pen and then I'll go from one to the other, and I move around and I change the pen and that quite often. And it's just because I'm working within my head about how do I want the placement. Do I want it to be more upright? Do I want it to be a little bit leaning left or leaning right to the picture? And what is it that I'm wanting to get at the end? So I already know that I'm going to be putting stems. So the bases that I'm just putting here at the bottom is just basically where my stem is going to attach to my flower. So I kind of tend to move the page around and hop from one bit of the painting to the next, basically because my mind just works that way. But if you find it a little bit easier to work at from one point and work systematically down to the next, well then do that. You do whatever you feel that makes you more comfortable, and whatever takes you on this journey that you know, that you get some value out of your doodles and you get some value out of your practices. And this is all about just finding what makes your heart sing, finding what touches your soul and puts a little bit of a smile on your face. Because at the end of the day, you know, other people always have opinions, but the opinion that matters most is your opinion on your artwork and what you've produced. So this style for me personally, you know, it isn't my favorite. I love doodling. Most of the time I love to be able to sit down with the pen and go over certain things and be able to bring out different aspects of a painting that I find that's quite interesting. But I prefer personally a lot more of a looser style, but this is still something that I enjoy. I still even though I prefer the looser style of painting, I still enjoy doing this, because it gives me a bit of a break as well from, you know, the expectations that I place on myself when I'm doing the stuff that I know that I enjoy the most. So here we go with some little lines, which you could imagine in your head would be some stamens. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can make them all any length that you like. You can use different color pens if you prefer. You know, just find what you love and what you enjoy. And if you think, oh, I've done that line and it's a bit too thick or a bit too thin, well, you know what, it's not the end of the world. See if you can try and, so you can see there I went with that pen. I was like, no, I don't like it. So you just go over it. Or if you've done something that you don't particularly like, don't give up. Keep on going. You might be able to come up with a solution that saves your painting, and you might absolutely love that solution that you came up with. So the whole point in doing anything to find what you love is literally to take away any of that expectation and enjoy. So now I know that this pen was a little bit lighter than the other one, and I'm using it to do a little bit of softer background lines, you know, and by picking it up in the first place and trying it as I had, it kind of gave me that idea of like, no, that's not going to work, but I can use it for something else. So nothing that you ever do is a failure. You just keep on going and keep on having fun. So for me, I find it is a lot better in my head to figure out what I want to do with the final details once I know what the major placements are of what I'm drawing. So what I'm wanting to do here is just do the little bit at the bottom of the flower that's going to join to the stem. I'm not too sure what that's called botanically, but anyway, I just do this little bit so that I know where my stems are going to be, and that can help me to know what final details I'd like to put when I'm doing those fine details of my painting. Placement of my stems is always different. Sometimes, as you'll see here, I have pretty much a full stem. Well, I wouldn't really say, I'd say 3/4 of a stem, because you can't see all the way to the bottom. It's not like you can see into the ground. So I'd say it's a 3/4 stem, but sometimes I just do a short stem. And I like to be able to do those stems before I can finalize the last bit of my details on my flowers themselves. So you'll see with these ones, I'm kind of having it a little bit thicker at the bottom than I am at the top, and then you'll see a little bit later I'll change that. So I'll try to make the thickness of the stem a little bit more even throughout, regardless of where the stem is, either bottom or middle or the top of it. You'll also notice that I like to crisscross them. This is just something that I like to do, just to give it a bit of a visual something or other at the bottom. I just like the crisscrossing effect, but you do what you feel happy. Some people love just having them going up and down straight lines, because that linear visual representation that they get is just something that they really like. Knowing that I personally like to have my stems at an angle and crisscrossing each other, I make the bottom of that flower therefore at angles of left and right, so that I can accommodate the direction that my stems are going to go. So that's why you would have seen when I was doing those little bottoms before in those triangles, that I did them in different angles, different directions. And that's because I knew that I wanted to make my flowers lean and I wanted to have my stems in different directions. But if you love them just to be basically straight because that's the way that you love a visual representation, well then you do that. Now that my stems are finished, I like to start doing the last little bit of details. So I'll put some little dots at the top of my stamens, and I'll most probably go and add in a couple little sprays, a little bit of twigs up at the top. Remember that I'm not going to be doing the leaves in this stage. I'll be doing them in my next series of Find Your Style. But at this point, all I'm wanting to make sure is that I've got my flowers and I've got my stems, and I've got all the details at the top that I want, and then that will set a nice groundwork for later on when I'm wanting to do the different types of leaves that are going to be in your Find Your Style in the next series of leaves. Now I'm adding just a few little sprays, just a few little twigs, nothing that's going to be looking like anything specific. They're just little light sprays, just because I find that it just gives it a little bit of a something extra, just those extra details that just give it a little bit of, you know, nice visual appearance. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, you can. And then I like to add each one with a little dot, so trying to go and from the dots that's on the top of my stamens, I'm trying to mimic that and have that duplicating around, just so that it has a little bit of cohesiveness. And that's the end of this little video. I hope you enjoyed it and got some value out of that, and I'd love to see you in the next one.